Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. This is Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Mentor Select serves parents who are raising teens. Every week, Derek interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. All while parenting them to be successful adults, focusing on social and emotional development, something that's left out of the classroom, but not in ours. Be sure to subscribe, share, and rate. This is Mentor Select, and this is your host, Derek Phillips.
Parents, you're in for a great treat today. We have Elese joining us. She is the author of Butterflies in My Stomach and also the founder of the nonprofit CTR-Center, Inc. How are you, Elese?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. It's a pleasure. Happy you joining us on the Mentor Select podcast. So where are you joining us from?
Atlanta, Georgia.
ATL. All right. Is it hot there today?
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I can imagine. Hot and sticky. Same here in Dallas.
Oh, yes.
It's that time of year.
Right.
But yeah. But Elese, so wow, congratulations. I know you just published your first book. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. It's a little nerve-wracking. It's just been about a week and 3 days now since it's been out. But
awesome.
I'm really appreciative, like that I saw the process through, that it's in people's hands and out of my heart. So yeah. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a blessing and it's a remarkable milestone. I know you're part of the 1%ers now that actually write and publish a book. Everyone wants to do it, but very few actually see that process through.
Right.
Certainly you should be proud of that. Now tell us about your book. It sounds interesting. I like the title.
Yes. So Butterflies in My Stomach is a collection of poems, prose, quotes, affirmations, and monologues. Just kind of from my perspective and all the different roles that I have held throughout my life, whether, I was in my maternal role as a mother, as a child, as a wife, as a divorced single mother, and just as a woman, as a Black woman, and everything I feel like that we are supposed to carry. So it talks about a lot of ups and downs, really.
Yeah.
Just coming from the heart. I just grew up within the art, so this was the best way that I knew how to express my feelings and my story, and hope that it could connect with other people as well.
So you mentioned you grew up in the arts. What?
Yes.
No, that's definitely a lot of teens are looking for ways to just express themselves in different outlets. So is that something that helped you throughout your teen years?
Oh, tremendously. I actually, I live in Atlanta now, but I'm from the East Side, the metro, outside of Atlanta. And so I went to DeKalb Elementary School of the Arts and DeKalb School of the Arts. So I've pretty much been within the arts my entire life. And it was an amazing experience. People used to talk about us all the time, like, oh, y'all's mascot is the ants. Y'all don't have any sports. And I'm like, yeah. But it was very, it was an authentic experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I was able to be around other individuals from various backgrounds and, just people of all kind, really. And I was able to, I feel like, grow more mature because my school, even though it was a public school, there was still certain restrictions. We had to participate in a certain amount of productions per year in order to stay in the school. We had to maintain a 3.0, and it just kept me on my toes. Yeah. when you first get in, they really want you to learn about all different art forms. And to me, it was great because at the time I didn't really, I guess, know how to express myself. So in learning at school, I just was able to dabble in a bit of everything. Once I got towards high school, in order to stay, I auditioned in as a drama major, and dance minor. By the time I graduated in 12th grade, I actually changed to a double major in dance and stage management with a minor in visual arts. Wow. So they allowed us so many different avenues. And even my experience being a stage manager and running shows at the age of 16, because I went to college when I was 17, it really influenced me to study then management in itself and business when I went on to college and undergrad, and then also influenced me to get my MBA. So I don't know. I just appreciated the experience because at the time, my parents have always been entrepreneurs, always been politicians, and always had
been very active, huh?
Yes. And so doing so, I felt like they were just like, okay, here, go to the studio or go here, live in the dance studio. And it was great for a while, but it was my outlet, And sometimes I feel like, especially teenage age, you go through so many emotions. I know I did, and my relationship with my parents in particularly fluctuated, and I just felt like they didn't understand. And to be honest, now being a parent myself, I realized that they probably didn't, and that it's okay. But they allowed me, or they provided me with the outlet for me to still be myself and grow and to learn. And what I love about the arts is that there's no right or wrong. There's this box that I feel like society created that, we're supposed to fit into. I'm supposed to fall within this category or that one. And even within the arts, people say, I'm a visual artist, I'm a musician. And for me, I am multifaceted. I can't just, because I'm a creative, I can't just say, I'm just an author or I'm just a dancer. I'm even now in my, as a additional job, I've worked back at my old dance studio, which was Ballet Ethnic Dance Studio in East Point, Georgia, one of the first African-American ballet dance studios in Georgia. And it's just always something. Like I can't sit down, and my godmom gets on me all the time saying, Kristen, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. And so that often gets to me, but I just loved having that experience because being at DSA, I had to always be active. It taught me, time management. It taught me, in addition to unlearning, because I feel like oftentimes, and I do talk about it in my book as well, we're learned to act this way or be this way or do this or do that. But when it comes to art, it's okay. It's no right or wrong. And more so, I feel like we were more so graded on the effort of what we produce versus the actual masterpiece or, piece, finished product in itself.
Yeah, I like that freedom. And like you say, within the arts, there is no right or wrong. And you're encouraged to express yourself. You're encouraged to explore. And that's how life is as well. It's not just a clear black and white. You can't just... It's got a lot of gray area. So, yeah, I like having that perspective.
It's beauty within the
gray absolutely. Area. Yeah, definitely beauty within the gray areas. So I love that. Now, did your parents kind of push you towards the arts, or was it something that you naturally gravitated to? Because I know a lot of parents, they want their kids to get involved in the arts, but they may not know how to really expose them to it, or if they're pushing them too hard. So how did you first get involved?
Well, honestly, at the time, again, living in DeKalb, the art institution was actually one of the highest as far as test scores, and they were pretty up there. So it was a lottery initially to get in. Wow. And so my father worked at the district at the time as well. And so if you're an employee, I think like it's a certain weight as well within the lottery you have for your children. But I was able to get in, and I think initially it was just the grades for them, the education. But once I fell in love, they were, all for it because I was able to balance both. And I think at the time too, they saw just the the love and the passion I have for it and the positive outlet. Because oftentimes, kids are always yearning for something to give them attention back, or something a way to express themselves, even or even within a certain group or area. And I had that. Like, I barely was home. I was always after school at rehearsal or
dedicated.
Yes, it was always something. And again, too, it wasn't necessarily initially by choice, but because you did have to stay active in order to remain at the school. But after a while, I just stayed, I'm going to sign up for, a tech crew. I'm going to go ahead and audition for this dance piece. It was always something. The show never stopped. And I love the experience too, because you'll walk down the hallway and you'll see, a classmate, walking around, going to class with their lids hard and tight. Another classmate in a business suit, another classmate in a clown suit. It didn't matter.
Like a fun place to go to school.
It was fun. It could have, and I could see how some people are like, oh, no, that's distracting. But in actuality, it just let us be us, because in one period, we had even and odd days. That's how we broke it up, 8 classes throughout the year. So one period you would have AP Lit. The next you would have dance. The next period you would have production and media. And the next period you would have science. So it was just always fluctuating throughout
the variety, never a dull moment.
Oh, for sure, never. And we were a family. I graduated. My graduating class was around 45, 50 people.
Wow. Wow, that's cool. But also, I like what you mentioned too, is in terms of all that exposure to the different areas of art, just a lot of just life lessons that you learned as well. Like you mentioned, the time management. I think that's something that in the traditional education system that a lot of teens don't learn, those just basic life skills. They're just studying to pass a test. But yeah, just the things you learn in terms of what you can, it carries over throughout your entire life, especially time management. Some even adults struggle with.
Correct. And I value that so much, because in order to go to rehearsal, I knew that after rehearsal, once my mother picked me up, I had to go home, eat, go to bed. I didn't have time for homework. So in between and for school to be over, and right before rehearsal started, I will pull out my snack. I will go ahead and start studying, go ahead and get those assignments done before. So it put so much on your plate that it kind of forced your idle time to be used wisely.
Right.
And I honestly feel like it was extremely beneficial, because even transitioning into college, where, I was out the house and without my parents, I was able to balance. Like freshman year was a breeze for me, because I knew, okay, I want to go to this party later on. Let me go ahead and knock out all of this homework.
Right. But yeah, all about balance and knowing how to prioritize your responsibilities. So yeah, definitely can have fun, but you got to take care of business first. That's something exactly. Invaluable life skill. I kind of something you mentioned earlier that really stood out to me. You said kids are always yearning for something to give them attention back. Can you elaborate on that more? I like that.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. I mean, I can just give an example. So even, again, talking about my experience, our high school started in 8th grade. So we're in, classes with 12th graders, with seniors. And I, remember some of my friends, having a crush on a senior or what have you. And it's just like, when you're young, you just want somebody to shine attention to you or shine light on you and to know you. Even when you're young, let's be honest. Some people just want that time, or want to feel like they're included and noticed or what have you.
Right. And absolutely valued.
Yes. And so I feel like it allows you to have that. So say if you're not, the smartest mathematician or, great at literature or what have you, if you can sing your heart out and that is your natural talent, you were valued. I remember, and I hate to say it like that, but I feel like the popular kids at school were either the singers or the dancers, because you can fully experience, everything that they had to offer right away. I mean, you would be in the cafeteria and we would have a musician with a guitar just out playing the guitar in the cafeteria.
Wow.
You will have girls around just singing to the, creating. And it was just organic and it was wonderful. And I just feel like it allowed you that value. It gave that value back, because I'll be honest, a lot of us came from all different types of backgrounds, but some of us broken homes, some of us, low income families, and it didn't matter because you were extremely talented and your talent took you far, whether it was
level the playing field.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I loved about it and appreciated about it. But I feel like too, when you are talented, you get your flowers, as you say, or Beyonce, you get your value, or you get the attention, or the sales, or what have you. And I feel like art, it can be that, but for me, the reason why I choose to create, or the reason how I felt like I learned within art school, was just that for me, it was more of, I'm receiving value back to myself for putting in the time to express myself, whether it was through, physically with my body, or through brush strokes with visual art, or just stage management, organizing someone else's talent,
Yeah.
being able to help provide that and shine light on that for the world.
Yeah.
So, I think it's an amazing experience. It's nothing like opening, when the stage lights are just on you and you just go.
Definitely can hear your excitement and passion for it. That's clear. Certainly. Yes, amazing. You're doing something you love.
Oh, for sure. It's a great positive outlet, I think, for kids. To me, it's like the equivalent of sports. To me, I don't much, if you're not a professional entertainer, it gets as much value, in my opinion, or as much weight necessarily. The arts is very important. Black art is very important, because I feel like I don't want to say we're so good at it, but we're so good at it because that's all we had. All we had was the hymns and the music and the movements and just different. We made something out of nothing.
Absolutely.
We were able to,
yeah.
So I think it's just amazing. The art will always be in my heart. That's why I created my nonprofit. Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of your nonprofit, tell us, what was the inspiration behind it, and what's your mission? Who do you serve?
Yes. So we serve artists ages 5 and up. Within, certain age groups. I have like workshops for the 5 through 12, 13 through 17, and then 18 and up. But artists of all kind. I feel like artists can be, like I said, a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, because they even have something to say. Trust me, I'm a mother of a 6-year-old, so she's always wanting to express herself in several
always
ways.
Creating.
Oh, and yes. Oh, Mom, I wrote a song. Or even she was in piano, and within a month, she's already created different tracks. So it's just blowing my mind. And I feel like, you can't put an age limit on that, in my opinion.
Right.
But anyway, so I service artists essentially by providing them a safe space to create, providing them with tools or resources or connections they may not be able to obtain on their own in order to create, and then also providing them with networking amongst other artists within other art forms. I remember on my last workshop I had for my 18 and up, which is called Art and Flow. We have it monthly. Currently, we're doing it, via Zoom due to Corona. We're trying to stay safe out there. But I have just people who needed a videographer or an illustrator, and we're right there with each other. So it's amazing, because even within, hey y'all, I want to create this, or this is something I really want to do or work on, we're giving each other support, love, and direction. We're critiquing each other. We are supporting each other. It's an environment that to me is so unique, because it's not like, oh, okay, I'm your competition as far as, oh, I'm within that same art form. It's just all love and support, and just being able to connect one art form to the next to create something even greater that would not have been created if one artist did it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a group effort. And
yes,
something that I
teamwork.
definitely hope, absolutely, teamwork. Something that, as far as the parents listening, I hope to really understand in terms of, art comes in so many different forms. It's, like I said, there's no right or wrong. And for me, I didn't consider myself an artist until I started hosting this podcast and realized, like, hey, this didn't exist until I created it. This is a form of art. Then I wrote a book, like, oh, okay, this is what art is. But yeah, we're all artists. We all have the ability to create. As you mentioned, like, I think a lot of times we look at artists, you have to be a professional. You have to be getting paid on stage, but it's just so many different ways to create. And that's something I hope parents really encourage their kids to always create, always do something to express themselves in a positive way.
Exactly. And I would say, if anything, continue to encourage it or support it, even if you don't understand, it's not going to hurt them or you, then why not go for it? Because I have been discouraged, at times, which hasn't been the best feeling, or makes me feel, or made me feel less than, or, again, if you're in, I can't sing worth the lick naturally. If I'm not a singer, if I'm not, naturally gifted to move and dance amazingly, then I'm not good enough. But in doing a lot of different things, or just having learned and experienced certain things, I feel like, I'm a creative in my own right. And even with a certain artist, they're like, oh, I love the arts and I have this going on, but I'm not an artist. I don't consider myself an artist. And I'm like, well, wait, you're writing a book, you're an author, what, you do poetry?
Yeah.
You are an artist.
Absolutely.
And people start doubting themselves, and it's like, no, like, again, shining the light on them has, to me, opened up doors and for them and other people, when it comes to encouraging them, and then other people being able to experience it. Because just because it's not out there or it's not a category for it doesn't mean that we don't need it.
Yeah. And create your own category.
Exactly. Why not? It can't hurt anybody, especially if it's helping you. I believe creating is a part of self-love as well, which is very important, and which is something that I feel like our teens don't know or get enough of, as far as this is what self-love is. It's not, grooming yourself or your physical appearance. Is more so investing back into yourself and loving on yourself. And that's something that's oftentimes that we don't talk about with them as well, especially in the Black community.
Yeah, I totally agree. As far as a lot of times with parents, especially with teenagers, they go into the different phases of development and trying to establish their own identity and be independent. Parents just may not understand what they're going through.
Right.
What are some ways that can kind of help parents bridge that gap where they can, even they don't understand, they're still able to support?
I think in order to bridge the gap is to, one, recognize where you are, right? And recognize where your child is. Oftentimes we have to be honest with ourselves first. Say, hey, I just want the best from them, even if I don't understand it, or this isn't necessarily the path that I wanted for them. It's okay as long as, their basic needs are met, as far as it's not harming them or anyone else. But I feel like the first step is to identify that I don't understand and to articulate that with your child. I think having the most open, conversation, or an honest conversation is okay. Oftentimes as parents, we feel like we always have to have an answer or be right. And it's okay to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong, or I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? Or opening up the door is the initial start. Because even, within my book, I talk about, my relationship with my mother and how she didn't understand. And because of that, I felt shunned. I felt, isolated. I felt less than. And I had to realize that it wasn't me. It was her inability to recognize or notice or understand. It was okay that she couldn't. I had to deal with that. But I now know that you can't expect people to give you something if they aren't capable of doing so.
Right. Absolutely.
Being open and trying to learn and trying to understand. And even if, if parents can't get out there themselves and participate and see the value, that's fine as well. But the effort is needed. The effort is necessary to try, So, and to keep the honest and open communication, that's what that's important.
Yeah,
I talked to
it's
my
invaluable.
Oh, for sure. I talk to my daughter, even though she's 6 and I don't understand what is going on oftentimes, but I try time to sit and to try to understand. And I'll tell her, wait, okay, go back, say that part again, or wait, what does this mean, or what have you? And the other day, and I try to give her opportunities to create. So the other day, again, in the studio, she saw a canvas and I was working on something. I said, okay, you can go ahead and paint now. So she painted, she finished her masterpiece. She said, I want to give it to Grammy and Poppy at their house. I said, that's fine. I said, what is your piece called? What can you tell me about this artwork? And she goes, oh, Mom, it's a pattern. Okay, so I have 12 dots over here, and these dots correlate to this, and this goes. I said, okay. So, it's just always, something. And so even if your child expresses themselves and they say, okay, I'm hurting because this happened to me, it just opens up the door for communication to further try to understand. But it also shows value what they are doing, regardless if you do or not.
Certainly. Yeah, that open communication is important, vital.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And it builds the trust. And also, like I said, if you just parents think that we have to have answers to everything, but one of the consequences of that is devaluing our kids and making them feel like, okay, mom and dad doesn't understand me and what's going on. So like you mentioned, you were starting to doubt yourself because your mom didn't understand what you were going through. And just being able to, as a parent, say, hey, I don't understand, explain it to me. I think that empowers teens and gives them more confidence. Like, okay, I can explain it to mom and dad. Mom and dad don't have all the answers. And it really encourages them and feels feel more empowered. For
sure.
I like it. Awesome. So what's next for you? You author now, you have a nonprofit. What's next in Chris Elese world?
Only God knows. That's all. Only God knows.
Wherever the spirit moves you.
Yes. Because I feel like it's not my life. It's not my for me. He placed me in this life for a reason. So I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna continue to go through the different experiences and produce what he wants me to produce for others. It's not mine to say or to claim. Yes, it's my book, but he gave me experiences in order to write it. He gave me the means in order to do so. So really the world is at my fingertip. I just feel like it's always an opportunity for anything when you wake up, in the morning. So I'm going to continue to keep going until, I fulfill my purpose, whatever that may be. But I just, at this time, I just feel moved to help people, and that's, again, why I started, my nonprofit, just seeing artists and seeing what fills me. I want to help support those people to create that fulfillment for other people. So I just want to be here to assist and facilitate in any way, shape, or form that I can, in addition to being transparent and that resonating with others in order to encourage the same.
Yeah, that's so important. I can't think of anything more fulfilling than helping others and using your gifts and blessings to empower others and fulfill their lives as well. Doesn't get better than that, for sure. As you mentioned, that transparency is so important. Going back to the beginning of the interview, we talked about your book, the inspiration behind it, and you sharing your highs and lows. I feel like the lows is where we really learn a lot about ourselves, and by being transparent about those lows, we can help so many people instead of trying to portray ourselves as being perfect or not having flaws, but actually sharing that with others is what really makes impact and resonates with others.
Of course. And I'm very raw in my book. So I'm still kind of like, I'm appreciative and blessed that I did it, but I'm still also nervous because I haven't, really got any, I guess, reactions or reviews necessarily. I feel like I am just, still trying to see. I'm just nervous because it's like you put your heart out there,
Right.
And you want it to be able to help others. But at the same time, it was healing for me to just put it out there. You know, I talk about even, my divorce, and I talk about, being a single mother. I talk about, being scared. I'm talking about not knowing it and trying to unlearn what I was taught as far as society's views of success or just everything. I mean, I talk about a lot. I just lay it all out there, and some people may, have different or varying opinions. And what I know that's okay, being able to stand on my 2 feet and say, okay, well, like for example, even my family, I don't think they're too thrilled, but it was my experience. This is how I felt as a child. I'm not that I wasn't taken care of, or I'm slapping my parents in my face for telling them that I felt like, hey, I needed more support,
Right.
And it's okay to say, like I said, to reflect and say, okay, I could have done something better, versus the old school mindset. Okay, they're bathed, they're fed, they got a roof over their head.
The bare necessities.
Right. And nothing. And I say, if you were taking care of your child, give yourself a pat on the back right now. You know what I'm saying? It is not easy, especially during these times right now with Corona and it's summer and school's out. I'm still, teaching my child. We're still refreshing on what we know. So when, August comes, we together, it won't be a hiccup as far as, new assignments and new lessons and growth. So
That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, so speaking about this book, where can people get it?
Yeah, so you can find it on Amazon. Awesome. Paperback and Kindle version currently. So I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I highly encourage the listeners to check it out. Again, it's Butterflies in My Stomach. Yeah, like you say, it's raw. So those make the best books. Just definitely make for good reads. And certainly people resonate with it.
Right.
You'll get some good feedback. Absolutely. Well, Chris Elese, you're giving us a lot of great strategies, tips, and resources that parents can incorporate to help them prepare their teens to be successful adults and expose them to the arts. Just give them outlets to positively express themselves. Do you have any closing words of advice you want to share before we let you go?
I would just say honesty, be honest with your kids and support them and allow them to express themselves and allow them to participate in something that they actually love to do, want, and it'll show, in y'all's relationship and in their actions in every other avenue of their life as well.
Oh, great advice. Certainly. What's the best way for the listeners to contact you? They like to learn more about your nonprofit or your book or just whatever you have going on.
Well, I'm really big on like social media, especially like reaching my artists because that's where they live. So, Instagram, you can follow me at Chris Elese, ChrisElese. And then also CTR, my nonprofit, is at CTR_Center, CENTER. And then also CTR_Center on Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Chris Elese. Wish you the best in all your future endeavors, and you can continue making a remarkable impact on the world and sharing your art. I'm glad that you shared your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Hosted by Darrich Phillips. Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. We get it. That's why Darrich interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. That's why we do the show. Be sure to share Mentor Select with other parents of teens. Follow us on social media at Mentor Select to stay up to date on the latest tips, strategies, and resources for parenting teens. Send your questions and comments to darich@mentorselect.com. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. Till next time, this is Mentor Select.